Madison Beer nearly suffered a wardrobe malfunction when she left a splashy GQ party on Thursday evening. The daring slit was so high on her long black gown that when she walked it appeared as if it was about to rip and reveal her underwear. The pretty frock was also low-cut in front as it had wide straps that tied behind her neck. The protégé of Justin Bieber added high black pumps that elongated her toned legs. The 26-year-old singer stole the show from other attendees, like Justin's wife Hailey, a supermodel and founder of Rhode, and her good friend Kendall Jenner, also a model. The high-profile event was held at the famed Chateau Marmont in Los Angeles. She told the independent newspaper, "People have been extremely wrong about my character and who I am as a person. I think that I've been very much misjudged on that, and it's just a feeling. It sucks being like, wow, the girl you're talking about doesn't exist. I wanted people to put this book down and be like, wait, there's so many people who I've judged wrong." The brunette beauty has received plenty of criticism during her career, but Madison doesn't allow it to bother her. She said, "I feel like a lot of my fans have grown up with me, and they've seen me grow so much. There's X amount of people that will just view me as not a real artist, whatever that means. I don't let it bother me because I know there are a lot of people who take me seriously and a lot of people who love my music, show up to tours and want to listen." And with that same energy swirling around her, Thursday night became yet another moment where she proved herself without even trying to. The night began like any other celebrity-studded event in Los Angeles, a city that lives and breathes glamour, pressure, and spectacle. Chateau Marmont glowed beneath the warm haze of camera flashes as guests arrived in cars that purred like secrets waiting to be told. The pavement outside was lined with photographers calling names, hoping for the perfect shot that could make headlines by morning. Inside, the air buzzed with champagne bubbles and beats pulsing through hidden speakers. The kind of dimly lit ambience that makes every conversation feel like a confession and every glance feel like the beginning of rumor. Madison stepped into that environment with an ease that secretly required years of practice. The gown she wore, a deep, inky black dress with a slit that could make even the boldest stylist gasp, moved around her like a dangerous whisper. It wasn't just fabric, it was a statement, a blade cutting through the monotony of safe fashion choices. The low neckline framed her collarbone and the delicate rise and fall of her breath, while the halter tie behind her neck looked so effortless it tricked the eye into forgetting the meticulous planning that went into every inch of her outfit. She didn't choose the dress to shock, not intentionally anyway. Madison wore it because it felt powerful, and after years of battling misjudgment, criticism, and the internet's ruthless opinion factory, she deserved to feel powerful as she walked into the party. Every head turned, not because she demanded attention, but because she carried herself like someone who had learned what it meant to survive scrutiny. Hailey Bieber, dressed in a smaller, sleeker outfit with the minimalism she's known for, gave Madison a warm hug. Their cameras flashed together, but even with Hailey's global superstardom, the narrative online later would center around Madison's dress. Kendall Jenner, cool and composed in her statuesque runway presence, complimented the fabric and the way it seemed to shimmer in the dark when Madison laughed. For a moment, Madison felt like she belonged, not as a pop star trying to prove herself, not as a girl people judged without knowing her, but as someone who had earned her place in a room of icons. But that confidence almost faltered when she left the party hours later. The paparazzi were waiting, dozens of them, and, as soon as she stepped outside, the flashbulbs erupted like fireworks. Madison lifted her chin, letting her face soften into the expression she'd mastered. Kind, calm, untouchable. She didn't realize the slit on her dress had shifted dangerously higher with every step she took. The wind, mischievous and always ready to test the limits of red carpet fashion, caught the hem and nearly lifted it just enough to give everyone a show she had absolutely not intended. She felt the fabric tug, felt the brief rush of panic that courses through anyone when they sense they're inches away from a disaster, especially a public one. In that split second, every article that had judged her, every troll who had accused her of being attention-seeking, every stranger who thought they knew her real motives, she felt all of them hovering in the air. But Madison reacted quickly, smoothing her hand down the dress, just in time, turning the near malfunction into a graceful adjustment that the cameras still caught, but in a way that made her look composed instead of frantic. The moment on camera was exaggerated online within hours. Clips were slowed down, zoomed in, reshared with dramatic captions. Some fans defended her outfit, praising her confidence and style. Others criticized it, saying it was too much or trying too hard, or whatever phrase people use when they want a woman to feel small. Madison didn't comment. She never does in moments like this, not because she doesn't care, but because she has learned that explaining herself only fuels the people who don't want to understand. Inside her car afterward, she took a deep breath. The night's laughter echoed faintly in her ears, but so did the memory of that near sleep. Her team reassured her, telling her she looked incredible, and that the moment would only bring her more positive attention. But Madison's mind drifted back to her interview with The Independent, where she'd opened up about how misunderstood she felt. She wondered how many people would see that moment at the party and assume something about her intentions, her personality, her artistry without knowing anything real about her. Still, she reminded herself that life as Madison Beer had never been simple. She was discovered young, thrust into a spotlight that rarely showed mercy. Her rise to fame was fast, unexpected, and shadowed by public expectations she never asked for. Every outfit became a statement. Every interview became a headline. Every mistake or near mistake became fuel for someone else's opinion, but she also reminded herself of what she told the interviewer, that her fans had grown with her, watched her evolve, seen her rebuild herself after every wave of criticism. She knew that those people, the ones who showed up to concerts, the ones who cried to her songs, the ones who felt understood because of her lyrics, those were the people who counted. They didn't care if her dress slipped. They cared if her heart stayed open, if her music stayed honest. And the truth was, Madison Beer had far more depth than anyone outside her circle truly understood. She cared deeply about the stories she told through her songs. She spent long nights in studios agonizing over lyrics, wanting to capture emotions in ways that felt raw and real. She wasn't a manufactured pop star. As some critics labeled her, she was an artist with a voice shaped by pain, hope, and resilience. A wardrobe malfunction couldn't erase that. It couldn't define her. It was simply another moment in a long line of moments that the world would talk about, twist, dramatize, and then eventually forget. What mattered was how she carried herself afterward. She went home, took off the gown, slipped into softer, safer clothes, and sat by her window with a cup of tea. She read a few messages from friends who told her she looked beautiful. She scrolled through fan accounts posting edits of her walking confidently into the party. She felt gratitude rise in her chest, overpowering the earlier panic. She survived another night in Hollywood, a place that tested everyone, but especially women who dared to shine brighter than others. Over the next few days, the clip of her nearly flashing the cameras went viral. Some used it to mock her, some used it to praise her, but eventually, as with all viral celebrity moments, the noise moved on to something else. And Madison, in her own quiet way, rose above it. She returned to writing, to singing, to grounding herself in the things that mattered more than fabric and flashbulbs. She had said it best herself. People may misjudge her, misunderstand her, or project their assumptions onto her. But the real Madison Beer, the one who grew up under the harsh glow of fame, the one who learned confidence the hard way, the one who created art that made people feel understood, would always remain bigger than any rumor, any headline, any dress with a slit almost too daring for the night. And that was her true power.